Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to extend one of our playlists and discuss a similar application that we talked about probably a couple of months ago or a month ago. So if you're not familiar with my channel, this is my channel. We'll really appreciate if you go and look at some of the videos and some of the tutorials that I have. So out of all these tutorials, there's one playlist that I have where I talk about how to do a Google book search using React.js. And if you go to this playlist right here on my channel, there's actually a couple of videos. One video is about the Google book search using React.js. The other video is about creating an Android app using the web view and in the backend using that specific application actually. So today we're going to extend this tutorial and we're going to do the exact same or similar Google book search rather using the latest Angular. Or Angular 14 actually. Not the latest one is I think 15, but we're going to use 14 because that's the one is probably much more stable. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is go to this site right here, and I'm going to put the link in the description below so that you can take a look at it. This is a site where you can host your own source code actually, paid, non-paid, free. So this one is free, as you could see. So go to this link and then go ahead and download the zip file. So this is the link right here that you can use to download it. And then once you have the zip file, what you want to do is unzip it. So if you unzip it, you'll have a directory structure, something like this. You will be unzipping this directory and all the subdirectories underneath it. So I unzipped it in the C YouTube project because that's where I put all of my projects, and this is how it looks like. And if I go through the command line, there it is, this exact same directory. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open my Visual Studio Code to show you all the codes underneath this and kind of like talk about it. So after you get the code, you can definitely look at it, and I'll explain some of the things how the code is designed, but of course you want to run it first to see if it works. So the very first thing you want to do is npm install to make sure that all the necessary modules are installed. I actually have it already installed. I ran it already, so it's going to be pretty fast. In your case, if you're doing it for the first time, it may take some time. But do know that in order to run all this, I'm assuming you already have the Node.js. If you don't have the Node.js, just go ahead and download it. It is out on the web. Just go ahead and download, like do a Google search of Node.js, and then download the version. I believe the latest one is 18. Don't download 17. You might want to download the version 16. So if you're not really sure what that is or how to get to it, this is what you want to do is you want to just say download Node.js and then click on it right here, and don't download the latest one. The latest one is 18, which may or may not work. I cannot guarantee because I don't think the Angular 14 has been certified on this thing yet. So you want it to go to the previous releases like this, and then go to maybe number, it's got different pages, so go to number 3, maybe 4. Yeah, so 4 has, this is probably the latest version 16. So click on this one, downloads, and then again, depending on where you are at, you can get the zip file, you can get the installable. I'm on Windows, so I chose this installable right here. So there's 64 MSI and then 86 MSI. So for Windows, most likely you'll have a 64-bit system, so you will want to download this one and then install the node. So once you have your node installed, then of course you can get the Angular installed after that. And again, if you're not sure how to install it, you need to install the Angular CLI. So you can just kind of say download Angular CLI or something like that, or just, so here it is, overview common this, and just click on this, and here it will kind of tell you how to install Angular CLI. So just go through it. So these are fairly simple things, and I'm assuming that you are already familiar with Node and Angular. But again, if you're not, I just quickly showed you how to download those as well. So once you have all that and you got my code downloaded, and then if you do on that folder where you downloaded and unzip the code, if you do npm install, that will work. All that does, it just installs the necessary modules and dependencies. Okay. Once that is done, then all you have to type is ng serve. All that does is that basically says, hey, I'm going to go ahead and launch the server so that you can kind of look at the application. So it's going to take some time. It will do its compilation or preparation, whatever the thing that it does, and it's going to come up in a second. Okay, as you could see, this whole thing compiled successfully, and the server is up. So all you have to do is, if you don't remember what this is, just copy this thing right here. It tells you, what this thing is, or you can copy it, hit Control, and click on this follow link, and the thing is going to come up. And as you could see, it came up. There it is, and there's a Google Book search. And this thing is now, it looks and feels exactly the same like the React one. Some of you, if you have looked at my React one, you would know it. But if even though you don't know it, I have this thing already on the Heroku Cloud. So here's how it looks on the React.js version of that code. So same thing. If I just type for something like Java, and then there you go, it just automatically does the search for all the books in Google Book. I can show you the top 10 one. And then this is the Angular version. It should do the same thing. If I start searching for Java, and this is a little bit more, nicer. Added some loading icons and more messages, stuff like that. But same thing. So it gives you all this list of books, and then you can click on it. And then, of course, you got a drill down, and you got a Java book. So that's basically it, and it's nothing fancy. It just does fairly basic stuff. Okay, so now let's talk about the code. Now we know all about this. By the way, if you are interested, I have also put the Angular version out on the Heroku Cloud as well. That's this right here. As you can see, this is the link. I'm going to put this link in the description below so you can kind of have a blast and look at it, how it works. This is going to work the same way, of course. If you type for Elon Musk, and it will automatically does the search. So it's the same version. Okay, let's go back to the code. So here's how the code works. Of course, if you're familiar with Angular, you know that you can start creating an Angular app using their ng new and type the name of the folder that you wanted to create an application at. So that's exactly how I created it. And all this file and folder that you see, it's other than these instructions and the images, those is just copied it. Other than that, the rest of the stuffs are automatically generated. The files that you're interested, that that search box, and then the search results and the drill down, these are all inside this app directory, of course, as you can see. So this is the base component. That's what I call it. And then you'll see that there is two subdirectories, books and services. The services is the one that actually deals with the API call, right? So I'm going to start with the services first, right? So the services, again, you can create a component, and that's exactly how it was created. And if you go to the TS file, the TypeScript file, you would see all it is. It's just got one method called search. It takes a query string, that's nothing but what you're searching, and it returns basically an array of the object book detail, right? That's what this is returning. So the query is, hey, this is the base API URL of Google API, Google Books API rather, call, or REST API call. And then all we're doing right here is using the Angular's common HTTP and the RxJS operators. Using those, we're just calling the get of that for that URL, and then getting the response. And the response is nothing but a whole bunch of entry of the books, and those books we're just putting into this specific object which has a title and a link for the information and an image. As simple as that. Okay. And this book detail is actually something that I created. So this book detail is nothing but, as you will see that here, it imports it from here. So like slash dot dot slash book detail dot model. So if you go here, this is what that book detail is. The class is constructed right here. Title, info, link, image links, and this is the constructor of that thing. So that's it. So we have a service, and the next thing is how does the app work, right? The app is, so this is the base app. So as in any Angular component, it has a CSS, it has an HTML, it will have a spec TS file, and it will have a TS file and a module, right? For the app. So right now, most of the stuff that you'll be interested in is these three files: CSS, HTML, and TS. So this is the file that I touch. As you can see, CSS have some custom defined style sheets, to show the things the right way. So you can look at it, how it is done, centered, and different fonts and all that. Not that interesting. So this is the interesting piece, is how the whole layout is, right? As you can see right here, it starts with a header. Let's refer back to the actual application. Starts a header, then also there's a search box right here, and then there's a search result container, if you will. And then, of course, as soon as you start typing, type Elon, and then you see that little thing that spins. There's the loading GIF or whatever, and then it automatically searches. Okay, so here's that header. Then after the header, here's that search box, and this is nothing but you will see that this app search box is just the component, this right here under after the book. So this is a component called search box right here. And then the search results is this right here, app search result. That is nothing but this guy right here, the search result component. Okay, so this tied with that, this tied with this, and then and we got this little image right here and a message. All this is saying is, as soon as the loading starts, show the loading image if the loading is happening, and then of course show the, when the loading is done, show the message, like top 10 results or whatever. That's the message that it will have. Now the interesting piece is right here again. The way the Angular works is you have a parent-child type thing, right? In this entire, and by the way, this whole app component is so this is the HTML piece of it. How the render, like the view, the actual code behind this is, of course, we're going to come to it. It's going to be in the .ts file. So what happens is when you type the search, right? Multiple things happens. There's some event handler. Okay, there's some special event handler that listens to a couple of things. One is it loading right now? And where is the result coming back after it makes the call to the API based on whatever stuff that you typed? So there's two things that's happening. So here, is it loading right now? And what is the result? Based on that, if it's loading right now, of course, the loading image shows up. That's what this is right here. And the message shows up if it's loading. The next thing happens is if there's a result, and as you could see, this is nothing but a for loop in G4 that says, hey, put out of this result that came out of here, go through each one of them, and then that's the result that he wanted to see in this result. The result equal to result, as you could see in this result section of the HTML. Okay, so let's go to the detail behind the search box and the result now. Okay, so let's start with the search box. So if you go to the search box, well, actually, before going to the search box, let me just quickly show you the TypeScript for the app. So in the app, all you can see right here, there's two variables, results, where it stores the result. Loading is, or three variables rather. Loading is the Boolean variable that shows whether to show the icon or not, and the message is the message that shows up on that page. And there's one method that gets called update results, and based on that, it basically says that there's nothing was found on that message if the result is not zero, of course, the length. and otherwise show top-10 results. So that's what all this thing is doing. And if you go back to the HTML, you can see that it is calling that update results right here. And based on that, it is just returning that result. All right, now in the search box, the search box is, of course, again, there is no special CSS in here. The HTML is nothing but just an input tag, and you just see that autofocus and the size is 200, placeholder search, all that simple stuff. HTML input control. This piece is rather interesting. If you look at it, there's two event handlers. So this is a special event emitter that is part of the Angular that it provides. What it's happening, it's kind of like it's kind of like a listener. So the event that someone is listening to, that event, and this module right here will actually will update what's happening to this based on certain criteria, and then it will update that event so that whoever is listening to this event, they will be notified automatically. So that's what this is kind of for. So there's two things. One, I can say loading, and in tell it is an event that's going to try to notify about a Boolean variable, and this results event, it will try to notify about a list of book detail. It's obvious, right? So on the init of this event, as you could see, it goes and calls, if you recall, the book search API, which we looked at in the beginning, service, book search provider right here. So it's calling this guy right here, referring to this actually, and going back there again. So all that this is doing is basically saying that, hey, in the key event of up, that means you're done typing, you go through and you can read each of these comment. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but it's basically saying that anytime the key is up and you check it every certain time, then the first thing you do is you set the loading to true. So the loading variable saying that, hey, notify whoever is listening to this, say that it's happening right now, and then you get that string, whatever that someone typed from this key event, and then take that string and pass it on to that book search, the actual API, right? That will return the result, which is nothing but the area of book details, right? And then once the result is returned, of course, it's done, so you don't need to, because now you're going to paint the results, you don't need to spin it anymore, type thing. And then all you have to do is now in this, whoever is listening to this event emitter, book details, set that result to this result that just got returned. That's pretty much it. And on the error, set the loading to false and show the error. And then at the end of the whole thing, kind of like a final type thing, just set the loading to false. So that's pretty much it. That's all it's doing right now, right? When you do a search. Now in the results component, of course, I have some special CSS to show the book, the images, and the title and all that business. In the HTML, as you could see, it's nothing but a link. It's a box, right? And if you recall what's being passed in here, for each of those result, this is the variable that is being used for each of the result out of the results, and that is being passed as the result, right? So that result, coming back to this component right here in HTML, it's using that result and basically saying that on the book detail object, which is this title info link images, if you look at this, it's just basically saying, hey, now show the info link right here as a link, use this class, button class or whatever, roll button, blah, 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 try to blank. That means it just opens a new window. When you click on it, on that little box, that search entry that happens, and then show it the little book image right here out of that image link that came out in the result, and show the title. So that's all this is. Out of this result, just show this information. This is how you kind of show the get access to the variables. So that's pretty much it. I mean, that's nothing fancy, but one would see, if you have looked at my React.js version of it, Angular is a little bit more I don't want to say complicated. It is well organized, but looks like it is a lot more coding, a lot more parts, different parts scattered all over the places. And so that's what Angular is. I mean, that's how it is, but it's very organized. I mean, it in the newer version, it actually enforces a lot of things if you use the compile it with strict flag. The other thing that I also have on this Angular version is this is, of course, is ready for, I want to call it cloud ready, Heroku ready. So in Heroku, of course, Heroku doesn't support ng-serve, so you have to kind of provide your own express HTTP server. So I have this one created. All this is doing, if you take this as is, put it in the GitHub, and then connect with your Heroku cloud, connect with the GitHub, this will be seamless to deploy pretty easily because it's got a server.js. And I even have my package.json configured correctly. So what do I mean by that? Well, of course, you could do ng-serve, and as you could see, ng-serve works. But I could also kind of say that I really don't need the ng server. You could do something like npm build. These are the steps that actually Heroku runs. Okay, sorry, it's npm run build. So these are the steps that Heroku would run. So what that does is that just creates all of your JavaScript outputs, because TypeScript gets compiled into JavaScript. That's what happens in React or Angular, any of these TypeScript-based technology cases. Then it will put all of your JavaScript files into like a production-ready distribution directory, and that's what I kind of mentioned also in the, I updated the Angular JSON file to say that, hey, output path is going to be dist. So that's what it did. As you can see, it built it, and it built it, and it will create a directory. If you look at it, it created a new directory called this, and this is where it put all of the files. So now I really don't have to, I can, but I don't have to use ng-serve. I could just do npm start, and as you could see, if I do npm start, the way I have this coded is it is automatically going to call node server.js, meaning it is going to start up the express for me, and it's going to serve this directory from the server, serve the index.html. That's all that is, nothing fancy. So if I just do npm start, then it just started the node server, not a big deal. So I'm not using ng-serve, but the exact same thing is going to work. I mean, I can go to localhost 4200. Now actually it is served by the express, and it is actually coming from this directory right here. This is all of your files right here. It's all JavaScript files. Okay, so it's being served based on the express. So, and of course everything else should work. I can just type for, okay, I want to look for JavaScript book. And there you go. It is JavaScript books right here. So if you have Heroku Cloud and an account, you can just go ahead and connect with the GitHub after checking this in, and it will automatically deploy fine without any issue. So that's how I have it deployed that I was showing you initially in the Heroku right here. Okay. I think that's all I have for today. If this video and tutorial added any value to your day-to-day skill set, I really appreciate, if you could hit the like button and subscribe and hit the bell icon, and you will get more and more notification as I create new videos. And of course, don't forget to put comments. There are some issues with I think some of the video configuration that I didn't have my comment on, so I think I turned them on. You should be able to comment, or let me know what other types of video tutorial you wanted to see, and I'll try my best to come up with them. Thanks a lot. Bye now. Take care.